I pressed live already.
Yun, we're live again for another episode of HR Shouts and Whispers. And we are now at episode number 75. And our topic for tonight, reimagining HR in a VUCA environment. Siyempre, my name is Ken Samera and ang main host natin, Christina Reclamado. Welcome to HR Shouts and Whispers. All right.
Hi Ken, how are you today?
Siyempre, energetic, lively, as usual.
Yeah, so so for tonight, okay, so we invited well, he used to be one of my professors during my elective because actually my MA was communication research and I took his subject as an elective. Yun. So little did we know that after many years, okay, we will find ourselves doing this podcast. So now, um, so anyway, somebody's calling me. Okay, so I will just end this call. Okay, so anyway, those are one of your fans, fans of our guests. Okay,
Oh,
so yes, okay. So actually, they're looking for the link. Okay, but anyway, okay, back to our podcast. So tonight, okay, we actually invited Dr. Verhelbing. Hi, hi, sir.
hello, good evening. Hi, George. Hi, Ken. It's nice to meet you virtually, and I hope the short talk will be productive, especially to your listeners, your viewers.
Yes. So we are live and we actually had this podcast, okay? And I'll also introduce to you one of our moderators, Mr. George Ramos. Hi, George.
Hi,
Hey,
Mr.
hi.
George, Mr. Ramos.
Hey, good evening, Doc. Hi,
Good
Christine.
evening. Good
Hi, Ken.
evening.
Long time no see, ah. I haven't been around in the in HR shouts no for and it's good to see everyone. So yeah, hi, good evening. Nako, very excited, Doc, to hear about your insights, lalong-lalo na kami no sa HR community. So
Yes,
yes.
because actually when you say about VUCA environment, okay, so this is the environment that we are in, okay, yung volatile and yung mga very volatile environment, things are changing very fast, things are unpredictable. So that's what we call the VUCA environment. So it cannot be as VUCA as the pandemic. Ayun. So anyhow, okay, so we'll go back to Dr. Binghai. Doc, so you are with the School of Labor and Industrial Relations. So how are things there? Okay, and
Oh, well, we're doing fine. We have a new building, a five-story building, donated, of course, by with the government, and we have plenty of students. So far now, we are second to the College of Education so far as the population of studentry. We have 300 plus, despite the fact that there is pandemic. Most of these people enrolling in the program, master's degree in industrial relations, are women and younger, and they're getting younger and younger. By the way, more women are there. We're doing well. We're doing fine, and I am really happy. I have not counted though. I forget to count how many years I've been there in Soler. I just realized ang tagal na pala.
so you mentioned that a lot of people or there are a lot of students enrolling in the masteral degree of human resources or
Correct, correct.
HR.
Master's degree in industrial relations with four areas of specialization. One of them is HR, of which I belong there. The other one is labor management. The other one is comparative industrial relations, or otherwise known as international industrial relations. The other one, the last one, the last field of specialization is labor policy.
Wow. Okay. So may I ask, okay, so why do you think people are going into that space? Why
That was
are
also one of my questions before, actually, Teen, no? And I just realized that many of these people are ambitious. Ambitious in a
mm,
good sense. They want to promote their career. And one way to have that edge over the rest is for them to be well equipped with knowledge and skills relative to what they are performing in the company, their role. And of course, in a credentialing society like the Philippines, degrees are important. So it would really give them more of an edge. So they would like to know exactly their role. They would like promote their what they call this their career in the company, even within and without the company. No? Kasi ano ng mga tao nga, move ng move from one company to the other. I guess everybody knows that. So they get to be well equipped with different facets and dimensions about industrial relations, about human resource management, the whole gamut from recruitment, selection, training and development, compensation benefits, employment relations, compensation. We talk about performance under measures, health and safety, labor law. We're very heavy on that. Collective bargaining and many other things. But I think very important thing that they get from enrolling in the university in the Philippines Industrial Relations course is that they get to have this set of values. Values like inclusivity, despite diversity, respectful for diversity, but being inclusive. Partnership, meaning to say, you don't take the workers as if they are your slaves. Rather, it will be more of a partnership. And then the idea of a win-win transaction. We really spotlight that particular area. I guess that's one of their take home. No? So we are not looking at HR or IR from a business purist business perspective. Rather, we look at it from a multiple actor perspective, a stakeholder perspective, in that no one should be disenfranchised along the way. We also talk about the trends in HR. They are exposed because we're talking a lot of technologies and how they impact to the field of HR and industrial relations. We talk about a lot of things like the changing landscape of employment relations, the proliferation. Earlier, you were just talking about freelancers. We're talking about gig economy. We're talking about platform workers. These are all beyond the real of the traditional employment relations, which of course, hindi mo pwedeng tulog-tulugan na lang. These are the realities and you need to have that creative juices to make sure that despite the fact that there is a changing landscape and your legal system is not yet hindi pa naayos tungkol dito, you would be able to maneuver, you'd be able to navigate itong klaseng situation na to. Workspaces have changed. Like we have work from home, we have telecommuting, and so on and so forth. So there are so many myriad of things that an HR person, an IR person has to focus his mind. Another thing, which I guess would put us to give them an edge over the rest, is that we always tell them to be more, I should say, borrowing from what Ulrich was saying, credible activists. By credible activists, it means that they must be data-based. And that's why we harp on their consciousness. It is essential that when they speak, they are data-based. And they should be able to collect data, analyze data, present data, and base their decision making on this data that they have gotten, scientifically speaking. So I guess these are the things that they will get. Imagine if you're a credible activist. Imagine that when you speak in the board of directors, you speak with data, you can be very convincing. So I think ito yun. Una, they want to promote their career. Pangalawa, they would like to be more learned about what they are doing.
And of course, a master's degree in industrial relations. It will actually broaden your understanding of HR, not just like for in just for the Philippines, but it's for a globe gives you a global
Yeah, that's
perspective.
true. That's true. Actually, you use different lenses. One of the Kasi usually the practitioner is boxed in at the firm level, but we talk about the societal level. How does the society affect HR and vice versa? How does your HR way of doing things affect the society at the national level, at the international level? You could also look at it in terms of intersectionality, no? How itong tao na nagtatrabaho sa kanyang pamilya, doon sa kanyang etc., no, sa kanyang organization. Sometimes kasi we don't realize that people are also operating doon sa kanilang ibang dimensions like their family, their etc. etc. Kayong intersectionality tinitingnan natin. So tama ka doon, Tin. I guess we're looking at it from multiple lenses, no? And yun na nga, yung values of inclusivity despite diversity, and at the same time win-win yung approach. That is the fundamental thing. In fact, we asked the question kasi our College of Business here, the Verata, has also a course on HR, but
Mm-hmm.
we treat it differently. There could be some similarities, but in terms of values, that is where we are very strong at. Respect people, to take people as your partner, and not to treat them as if they are just a commodity that you will just throw away whenever you don't need them anymore.
Yeah, I was going to ask, okay, so what is the difference between, because there are some colleges, okay, of business that specialize, that teach business, but have HR as a subject, and then you have School of Labor and Relations, and then you have HR there. So thank you for giving us an advanced answer. Okay, you just read my mind. Anyway, George, do you have a comment?
Yes, actually, thank you, Doc. Sobrang dami ko natutunan kaagad. But just a very quick question. And I'm just curious because as you've said, no, the younger students are coming in. I'm a little bit curious. How do you see them right now? I mean, what's the difference between my generation of students, generation namin ni Chris, at saka yung mga estudyante ngayon? What are the problems that they're bringing forth in terms of the way they apply HR? Obviously, they share this as part of their case studies in your classes. Now, what are you seeing in terms of what are they bringing to the table in terms of siguro cases, anecdotal experiences, ano yung mga nakikita nyo, Doc?
Well, actually, dahil sa bata sila, marami sa kanila bata, so they have, well, not so much vast things to share in class relative to experience because pabata ng pabata nga. You know, when I took my master's, Diyos ko, may mga klase ako na 59 years old, 60 years old. Meron pa, ako pinakabata, there were only, I think, 5 of us in that class. I was 25 and then the rest are in their 50s and then ang dami na lang sinishare. Siyempre ako ay bata, nakikinig ako na nakikinig. Ganito pala yung papasukan ko na profession. So ganun sila. Pero one thing naman na advantage sa kanila, napakagaling nilang mag-research. Dahil nga techi sila, they seem to know everything. They seem to know everything. Experience-wise, probably not much. But pagdating sa vastness, hugeness of an array of information that they could get, napakabilis. So nagsasalita po lang ako Malcolm Baldrige, nagkukwento na yung iba kasi they can easily maneuver the World Wide Web to locate what am I saying. And so yung relationship pagdating sa conversation, napaka-smooth. So I think that's one. And I think it's also nice to share something new to younger people because they have this open mind. Unlike when you are talking to some people na medyo matagal na para close-minded na, no? Close-minded na. Halimbawa, sasabihin ko sa'yo, alam mo, is okay naman kung magka-union. Matagal na sa profession, ayaw talaga ng union. Doon pa lang, sa statement ko pa lang yun, nire-reject na ako. Pero hey, let you wait. I will explain it to you. What made me say so. Kaya nandiyan yung openness, no? So sometimes it's nicer to talk with the young people because there's this element of open-mindedness. Sometimes when you have very old people, they will even insult you by saying, alam mo, pauwi na ako, ikaw papunta ka pala.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the change. Wala sila masyadong experience but they ang bilis kumuha ng information. The other one is dahil sa gusto lang matuto, they listen a lot. Masarap magturo.
Doc, ay sorry Chris, meron lang akong follow-up question kasi sinabi niya yung tungkol sa union eh. Nagsabi na si Doc tungkol.
Oo nga.
If we were to ask you, Doc, no, sino ang mas, I know it's a bit of a biased question, pero sino yung mas prefer mo mag-handle ng unions? Yung mga bata o yung mga experience?
Actually, wala yan. Para namang tinatanong kung pwede ba maging presidente ang babae o lalaki pwede maging presidente. Wala po yan doon. Alam mo, when nasa HR ka, we talk about the job and the competencies required of a job. When you talk about union leadership, then you talk about union leadership. So you spell out ano ba yung mga competencies na required to handle it. And I guess being young and being old is something mataba o payat, bakla o tomboy, o straight, wala yun doon. Rather, we have to be very specific. Alam mo, nagtuturo ako ng matagal ng competency-based recruitment. No, nang hindi pa yan nauso dito sa Pilipinas. No? So, ako'y importante that we go back to the fundamental competencies. So, hindi yung bata o yung matanda, the way I look at it. Rather, you talk about fit ka ba? Fit ka ba doon sa trabaho na yun? Fit ka ba doon sa trabaho na yun? Okay, sir.
May follow-up question ako dyan. Okay.
Oo.
So, sir, ito ang pinakano kasi you wrote the book on trade unions, okay? And, okay, kasi usually what we get are HRs from BPO companies. So, kayo may experience na kayo with handling the union. Okay ba magka-union? At saka, ano ba ang mga benefits or disadvantages ng pagkakaroon ng union sa isang company?
Okay, maganda yung tanong na yan kasi this is a follow-up to what George was saying. Kasi si George kanina, tanong niya, ano ba yung bata ba o matanda ang dapat? Sabi ko dapat yung competency. Yung sa mga competencies na kailangan dyan ay yung, alam mo yung responsibilities mo bilang union. At saka alam mo din yung responsibility, alam mo din yung mga rights mo as a union. So I think very important yan. Kasi lahat, saan naman tayo pupunta eh. Importante alam na yung rights, ano yung responsibilities. Hindi yung puro na lang responsibility na wala yung rights. Martir ka niyan. O na puro naman rights na wala naman yung responsibility. Hindi rin dapat ganyan. And for me, that's a trait of one of the traits. Kasi marami yan dapat. One of the traits ng isang grupo ng workers na nandiyon yung ingredient for yung parang matatawag natin na maturity. Maturity in dealing with the day-to-day affairs. Because unionism is good. Actually, it's good. Lalo na in paper, it's really good. It is when you put the human element, no? You put the human element na sometimes kung saan-saan napupunta. Government is good. Government is good. But it is just when you put people in it na minsan kung saan napupunta no yung hindi na the structure, the system, they are good. No, they are from a Durkheim perspective, from the functionalist perspective in sociology. It has a function to the society. Importante yon. Kaya para sa akin, importante yung mature union, alam yung responsibility at saka daw ka. Hindi ka pwedeng yung rights nila, hindi ayaw nilang ipapa-erode. Kasi they are all enshrined by the law, by the constitution itself. Eh kung masama yan, di dapat wala na. The fact that it's there, it must be good. Or that's why?
Actually, ang union, okay, I've experienced the good and bad side of unionism, okay, bilang isang representative ng company. Okay, but kasi like at this time kasi talk like manufacturing industry, okay, so and it's the pandemic and we know that there are a lot of constraints now. Paano kaya makakatulong ang mga union para ma-manage yung situation ngayon na pandemya?
Okay. I think the union has a big responsibility, has a share of responsibility here. For one, they are also the guardians of their own fold, no? Of their members. Those sa mga members ng kanilang bargaining unit. One way to do that is to probably help convince to their members na importante ang vaccination. That the health and safety of everyone in the workplace sa panahong ito, importante na pag dumating yung vaccine na yan. Kasi dahil sa Dengvaxia fiasco na yan, ang dami talagang natatakot, ayaw nang magpapa-vaccinate. And this is prevalent doon sa lower level ng society. That's why it's important that perhaps at their own level, they do some convincing effort, persuasion. Kaya na ginawa ni Ken, nag-present daw siya ng seminar, nagkaroon daw siya ng seminar on persuasion. Ipipersuade nila yung mga tao and it should be science-based. No, hindi yung pwedeng kung ano-ano lang yun. Magkumuha ng taong marunong magsalita diyan, credible na magsalita diyan. And then maybe they should start with the leadership. Sila una magpaturok. Oo,
Mm.
nakikita ng lahat. E di sabi, ba yung ano susunod na rin ako pag ganon. Yung ating amo, nagpapaturok na. And then another one, of course, siguro, the way I look at it is that they can convince their employer to shoulder the cost of itong vaccination. Kasi for one, pwede namang i-claim ng employer yan as a business expense at the same time, pwede nilang ikarga doon sa tax deduction later on. At the same time, you can look at it as on a more positivist view na ito ay pwedeng makinabang din sila doon pag yung kanilang mga tao ay healthy, no?
Health and safety po.
Usually pag ang tao ay healthy, productive. Ay pag may sakit, malaking problema 'yan. Besides, very important na dapat nilang i-convince yung employer na to really do something about it is, you see, ang employer is obligated. The employer is obligated to promote health and safety in the workplace. Kaya yung pananagutan nila yan pag hindi sila gumagawa ng paraan. So the union here can help by, convincing their membership, by ensuring that management will shoulder the cost. Of course, mahal din yan, no? For many small enterprises, no? If you look at the statistics, if you look at the Philippine Statistical Authority data, you will see that the bulk of the businesses in the Philippines belong to the micro, small, and medium enterprises. Very yung large enterprises na pakaliit lang. So it could also, this is where I think the government has to come into play. The government has to really subsidize itong mga maliliit ng mga kumpanya. Yung mga kumpanya na 10 tao lang, yung kanilang mga empleyado. Ang dami niyan, ha? Ang dami niyan. Mga micro enterprises. And this is where I guess the DTI should start to do their own mapping kung ano ba yung mga companies na baka nangangailangan ng ganito. I think I have talked so much. Mm.
Well, anyway, hi Ken. So I think there's like a number of comments that we've received because of the questions that
Yes,
you answered. There's
syempre.
yes. So
Basahin natin. Siyempre, simulan muna natin sa mga greetings from our friends who are watching. So, siyempre, hi kay Lee Manalaysay. Hi, si Jackie Ness, si June Espacio. Mm.
Oh, I know Lee. I
Mm.
had done some training in her company before. I forgot. Amcor Anang. Of course, Jonas Patch. I designed the
Mm.
salary structure of the hospital of
Mm.
De La Salle in Dasmariñas.
Wow,
yes.
wow.
So they are actually they've been asking me when you're coming in, kanina. So
Well,
so they're
actually,
very
I was
excited.
also looking for Lee because she has a restaurant, and I went there to had my consultation with in Baxicare, and I wanted to see her, but when I went to her store
Mm,
in Fisherman whatever in Fisherman Mall, she was not there during
mm.
that time.
Mm.
But I'm looking for Lee because I want her to treat me and to have her best deli for me.
Yun. Yun. Pero may question pala si Lee kanina. She posted this. Sabi niya, "Hi Doc, kamusta na? Here's my question. HR is all about people relationship. Our Filipino culture, we want a face-to-face interaction eh. We want to feel our employees. Given the situation wherein we are, Mimi, ay, naputol ba? Wherein face-to-face HR interaction is limited, how can we still connect with our employees?
Yeah.
Thank you po.
I think it's a very nice question, Lee. Si Lee Manalay sa by the way, Lee, papayos ako ng ngipin sa asawa mo, ha? Kasi matanda na ako nang medyo nag-aano na yung mga ngipin ko. At any rate, it's a beautiful question. Alam mo naman, communication is universal. How to communicate is cultural. I think this pandemic has taught us to be more culturally innovative in the way we do things. What am I saying? Through technology, we can actually converse. Through technology, we can actually converse. You know what? In my teaching, I become more intimate in a good sense. I become more intimate with my students. I get to know them better because we tend to converse more rather than we had to have that face-to-face thing. So I guess although this must be backed up by empirical data kung ito ba talaga ang prevailing scenario, in my case, I tend to know them better because we communicate more often because of the necessity to do it, which we take it for granted when it was just on a face-to-face mode. What am I saying? Companies should invest on technologies that would allow us to communicate smoothly wherever we are in the universe. And I think the nicest thing about the matter, as I was researching, ang daming mga technologies na soon to be out there that would make itong Zoom will become obsolete. There will be newer and newer technologies as if the person you're talking with is just beside you. Kaya ito yung mga nag-upgrade ang mga technology. But I think Lee, another thing is that this will soon pass. Ako kasi iniisip ko may katapusan din ito. May kausap akong siraulo, iniisip ko may katapusan din ito. No, kaya hihintayin ko na lang. Medyo masakit yung ulo ko, may katapusan din ito. Lee, don't worry. I think this is just a test by our divine creator. One day we will be go back to normal. It not be the same thing that we did before, but we will be back to the face-to-face thing. Okay. So
Ah,
next question, please.
yun, sabi niya, I will be there tomorrow daw. Siguro dun sa future mo.
Okay.
Yes. Oo.
You prepare the best bami,
Yun.
the best what do you call this? Best Vietnamese.
Yun.
Vietnamese yung kanyang ano eh.
Yung
I
restaurant
that's a
nakakatakam.
nice actually it's a Vietnamese sandwich, okay? So I'm a fan of that sandwich.
Yun. Very healthy din yan. Oo.
Yeah. It is, it is. So.
Ayan. Tapos ito, question na ni June. Sir June. Sabi ni Sir June Espacio, statement, unions can be transformed to a partner of the management. This depends on the people behind the union and the management during the CBA. Aside from TGE union, we can also create LMC. Tapos sabi din ni Sir June, in dealing with the union, credibility and integrity are musts. Okay. Tapos nag-comment si Ash Candano. The reason why we have two types of unions, legitimate and illegitimate, it depends on the union's leader.
Okay,
Ayun.
so
Question.
let's elaborate muna on
Elaborate.
actually, 'di ba? It's actually to become a union, you have to actually apply for it. So you have to be
Mhm.
officially a union, okay? So yung sinasabi nilang illegitimate, grupo-grupo lang 'yan ng tao. Okay. But let's ask Sir Binghayo. Sir, ano ba tong uso ba ngayon na nagkakaroon ng illegitimate union?
Alam mo, Tina, ang mundo talaga mayroong black at saka mayroong white wherever you go. That is my realization. Mapunta ka sa simbahan, may good, may black. Mapunta ka sa kung saan saan lugar, may good, may black. To answer your question, there is.
Okay. And how can if there is an illegitimate union, okay, so how can the HR deal with this, sir? Kasi yung mga HR natin,
Maybe number one is to educate. Ito yung sinasabi kong credible activist. Kailangan talagang ma-edukar yun din yung this final decision maker. Uy, alam mo sir, pangit yan, hindi maganda yan. Hindi ka pa takot, mamatay ka one of these days. Tatanungin ka ni San Pedro, anong pa yung nagagawa mo sa kumpanya? That is, halimbawa kung naggumawa ka ng sarili mong union, that's a yellow union. That's
mm,
illegitimate, that's a no-no, that is illegal, that is legally wrong, that is morally wrong in the strictest sense of the word, we have to speak up. We have to, of course, this is easier said than done. But
yes.
HR should be credible activists. Should be, kasi isa sa mga kliyente ng HR is misnomer na puro na lang yung mga nasa baba. No! Pati taas kliyente mo yan. And that's why part of your services, edukar mo yung mga yan. I'm saying it in a more emphatic way, but you could also do it in a more, alam mo na kung paano mo kikilitiin, no, si may-ari, but you have to educate them. You have to educate them that at the end of the day, alam mo, malalaman din ng mga tao, but your image, no, nasisira yung imahin mo. In your own doing, it breeds distrust. Pag nandyan yung distrust, mahirap na i-rebuild yon. Mahirap na i-rebuild yon. Kaya nga, alam mo, in many business schools, in-emphasize yung good governance. Yung good governance kasi in building a corporate culture, it really emanates from the top. How you think, how you behave, it will have a trickle-down effect to the entire organization. And people are people. They are observing, they're thinking, they're reacting. So probably their silence, you don't just take it for granted. Maybe they're silent about it, but deep inside they already form imagination. And sometimes these imaginations, imaginations are naging shared meaning for the rest of the people in the organization. So it becomes a culture of distrust. But too bad.
Yes. So that's why I asked Doc because kadalasan pagka narinig, oy, union yan, hindi dapat alamin nila kung officially registered yan sa DOLE. 'Di ba? Kasi yung iba nagfo-form lang, sinasabi nila, grupo kami, oh, yellow union pala, okay, illegitimate pala sila. So hindi, wala silang ginagawa. They just let them be. Kasi nga natatakot yung HR.
Part kasi dapat talaga ng role ng union is to yung kinokollect is gagamitin to educate the members. So part talaga yung workers education program doon sa mga union dues na nakukolekta nila sa mga agency fees, no, na nakolekta. Part of it talagang kailangan na nandiyan yung educational component. Mm.
So, how about George?
So let me just emphasize Tin, unionism is good. It is when you factor in individuals that sometimes naging haywire. Kaya nga, ang ano doon, kung titingnan mo yun, himay-himayin mo yun, yung tao ang importante. Sino yung namumuno? No? Kung sino yung namumuno. I'm sorry, Tin, I cut you. Go ahead.
No, actually, I was going to point to George kasi it seems like George has a question.
Doc, ano lang, follow-up question. Kasi sabi mo nga, I really like what you said. No? Wherever you go, there's black and there's white. No? And siguro also for the benefit of the ones who are listening then, how do you manage a union leader who has gone to the dark side?
Well, that's a difficult question. No? Kasi the best thing that you can, well, in the first place, when it is regarding the union affairs, dapat hindi ka manghimasok. Kasi union affairs yan. Otherwise, yun, unfair labor practice. No, hindi mo dapat panghimasukan yung ng union. But siguro importante diyan yung demarcation line. When are you a union officer? And when are you an employee of the company?
He
Now, I'm
must
talking
be
about the code
separate.
of conduct. The code of conduct, as long as, halimbawa, pag may universality yan, it says all employees. Then it covers everyone. No excuses. So kung ano man yung mga negativities na nangyayari that could be tantamount to a violation to the code of conduct, then let him be an employee first. Empleyado siya. Kasi one way to promote organizational culture is part of the rules. Ano yung mga rules natin na all of us should adhere to? Yan ang importante doon. Pero pag halimbawa yung mga affairs niya with the union, yung paglilid niya ng union, wala kang pakialam doon. Kasi affairs nila yun. Pero in so far as halimbawa mayroong mga violations siyang na, kasi you're looking at dito, no? The employee to segment meron kang tinitingnan empleyado, may isa naman union officer. Dapat maliwanag yan sa'yo. Pagdating sa rules and regulations, employee conduct, empleyado ka. as I am also an employee. And therefore, kung mayroon din ako na-violate, even if I'm the HR head, I should be sanctioned. Of course, with the observance of due process, so to speak. Parang ganon, no? Parang ganon yung nakikita ko.
So the HR must be able to discern, okay, kung nagva-violate siya ng
Oo.
employee code of conduct and something that yung kung internal yon among the group o dun sa union nila. So dapat marunong siya
Mag-discern, oo.
discern.
O kasi ano yan, internal affairs nila yan ng union eh. Sa kanila yan.
Saka,
Hindi natin dapat panghimasukan niya. Hindi dapat panghimasukan ng HR ng company yan.
Kasi
kaya,
kadalasan, sige George.
no. Dun tayo sa ano eh. Kaya tayo bumabalik din sa sinabi ni Doc kanina about competencies and fit eh. So, importante talaga yun eh, as an HR person. Kasi, managing the union and even the union leaders, no? Hindi naman ganun kadali eh. So, you should know the push and pull. Alam mo, marunong ka mag-negotiate, marunong kang maging firm, di ba? How do you, still gain their respect at the same time, be able to still make them follow in some way or the other, build relationship. Mukhang importante talaga, no? As part of that. And again, as you've said, yung data, importante rin. So, yeah, galing.
Yes. So, Doc, this is a follow-up question. This is one of the questions from our viewers. Okay, so, di po ba kayang mag-build ng ER team to replace or to eliminate ang union?
Ay anak, ano yan, no? Violation yan. Kasi parang sinasabi na, ano yan, ayaw mo ng union. Violation yan. Basahin mo yung, parang sinasabi ni Ping Lacson, magbasa ka ng Constitution. No, so, importante dyan na nagbabasa po tayo ng mga batas. Ano yan, violation po yun. Violation po yun. But let me tell you something. Bakit ba ang union na form? So I think that's a more fundamental na natin titingnan. Usually, they are, kaya na-form yan kasi may mga dissatisfaction na nangyayari in the workplace. Madalas yan, ina-articulate naman nila, ini-escalate, pero tinutulog-tulugan, hindi inaksyonan, hanggang later on as a person moves around the company premises, he bumped into somebody of the same, pareho pala sila. They're the same boat. And then as they roam around, making ikot-ikot, they realize, ang dami pala natin, tayo pala. And there you are, na-form na yung union. So what am I saying? If, alam mo, importante sa HR yung proactivity. Importante sa HR yung hindi ka natulog sa kangkungan. Importante dyan that you get out of the ivory tower and really, as I was saying a while ago, be a researcher of your own self to gather all the information that are vital for you to craft for the necessary interventions that you will have to implement in your company to arrest those things that are irritants in the relationship. I'm not saying all complaints are legitimate, but there could be some things that kailangan talagang aayusin. For example, you just realize na talaga naman palang yung rampant yung salary distortion. And people, alam mo, sinasabi mong pay, sinasabi natin confidential. Hindi naman confidential din, nalasing lang yung isa eh. Na-booking na kung magkano yung kinikita and becomes public. Then that would give you an idea. I think I have to do a more sensible intervention here. I will have to create a salary scale. No? O kaya some people are saying, bakit sila? They're working to the bone. Kami, we're not. We are working to the bone. Sila walang ginagawa. Probably it's high time for me to look into the job design. No, I would have to look at the task allocation, etc., etc. And this you can only do if you are more of the thinking side of HR because there are functions of us na talaga namang routine din. And I'm not saying hindi yan importante. Yung administrative, they are important, but that is something that you can delegate. That is something that you can delegate. And by the way, with the so many technologies that we have, There should be no excuse why the administrative functions are not done pretty well, accurately. So, I guess it's just a matter of mindset. Kaya kailangan nating i-rethink yung HR, so to speak, at the same time.
So I agree with you, Doc. Okay, unions kasi they're formed by groups of people that are dissatisfied at hindi nagawan ng paraan or hindi napakinggan. So parang if you want to make an experiment sa inyo, if you don't have a union yet, tingnan nyo kung paano naggugrupo-grupo na nagkukumpulan ng mga tao if there's an issue tapos hindi siya na-address. Okay? So that's one of the illustrations why unions are formed. Okay? So, Doc, another part of the spectrum, okay, and kasi we are here to dispel yung myths about unions and what management does with unions. So, Doc, good evening. There's a question here. What ano po ang gagawin natin if mismong employer ang nagsasuggest sa HR na pigilan magkaroon ng unions?
Ito ay anak, ano na yun, magpapakyut ka sa pag-convince ng tao na yan na mali yung kanyang ginagawa. Ako, ganito yung ginagawa ko. If I feel I am not comfortable telling something doon sa isang tao, sabi nga nila, your best friend is the one who will tell you straightforwardly kung anong nangyayari good or bad, di ba? I get a go-between. Ganito po yun, ginagawa ko. Sometimes in a family corporation, nandiyan yung mag-asawa, pagka medyo close ko yung misis, halimbawa lang, kasi sometimes we talk about weight, no? We talk about how to slim down, and then before you know it, it becomes our bonding moments. Ako nang nagsasabi doon sa misis. Tapos yung misis ang nagko-convince doon sa asawa. Sometimes I use that. I use yung mga tinatawag na go-between. Mga subtle way. Alam mo, communications people kayo. Ikaw Christina, ikaw Ken. No? The way to channel the messages. Importante na alam natin paano i-channel it. We may not be the one who will say it. Kasi alam mo, dapat din maintindihan natin yung HR. Kasi, not all people naman are willing to be, na pagsabihan ng HR. Mukhang, teka muna. Kaya ang tanong ko nga, bakit yung mga HR mahilig kayo kumuha ng consultant? Actually, ang realization ko, hindi naman nila. Kasi hindi nila alam eh. Alam nila. Takot silang sabihin. Ako kasi when I deal with my clients, I will tell, sa umpisa pa lang sinasabi ko na, if you want to get me, then there must be honest communication. I would level with you. Hindi yung tinatawag na ipiplease kita. Because if you just want somebody na magpapalakpak dyan kung ano mga pinagsasabi mo, then you get another person. Because I don't think that is my role. So, kailangan maliwanag yan. Now, in a traditional setting, which you have HR, nandiyan yung kanilang career at stake. Especially na kung yung sa taas, hindi naman welcoming ng mga ideas. Oh, by the way, let me just go back a little bit. Kasi sabi niyo kanina, yung sa unionism. Ang napansin ko rin, sa tagal ko na, I think I wrote this in one of my papers before. Maraming mga HR, maraming line managers, hindi rin marunong maghawak ng tao. Hindi rin marunong kasi ang HR is a shared responsibility. I guess everybody knows that. That I can only be good and when you are also doing your role, their line managers, to develop your people, to guide your people, so to speak. Sadly, in my experience, may laking gap. There's a big gap doon sa mga tao, yung expectations na pakataas din naman ginagawa. So, and one of the primary reasons why people really are dissatisfied ay their immediate boss. In fact, if you look at about attrition, voluntary leaving from the company, isa mga dahilan, if you do some, what you call this, exit interview, you would realize na yung amo ang pinakadahilan. So, malaking role ang gagawin dito. Kaya alam mo, pagdating sa bagay ng HR na yan, talk about strategic HR na yan, the mapping of the things must really be thorough. No? And kung sino man yung mga actors should really be identified, the kanilang mga responsibilities is be spelled out.
Yes, during when when lockdown was actually announced, okay, we received a lot of comments, doc, okay, kasi parang yung HR lang ang pumapasok, okay? Madaming mga line managers, okay, left their parang binigay sa HR na, o yung HR ang maggagawa ng crisis plan. HR ang gagawa ng strategic plan for the pandemic or tactical plan. So that's what happened. So si HR stress na stress. So thank you for clarifying that it's a shared responsibility, okay, of HR and line management and also the leadership of the company. Okay. So, paano ba ang tanong is pa-cute. Okay. Actually, ginagawa ko rin yan. But, ako kasi, ang tactic ko is, syempre pagka na-hire ka, dapat kinakaibigan mo na yung boss. Di ba? Parang easy na to have your proposals approved. Kasi, total naman, it will stop with the boss. Okay. So, might as well, dapat yung boss ay meron kayong relationship na he listens to you and then you are able to tell them some hard truths about the company. Yun lang ang masasabi ko doon. How about you, George? You've also been a consultant. Okay, paano ka magpa-cute?
Alam mo, I really like yung sinabi uh, ni Doc kanina. Kasi yun yung sinasabi ko na when you are in that particular position, no, or role, no, dapat talaga marunong ka mag-partner eh. Kahit saan yan, whether you're with talking to management, talking to the unions, talking to the direct reports, talking to the line managers, I don't know, I call it politics eh. I call it, being able to be politically correct. No, ibig sabihin, marunong kang makipagkapwa. Kaya mong katulad ng ginagawa ni Do kanina, sabi niya, if he wants to say a difficult message, aanuhin niya muna, bubulahin niya muna. No? Ako naniniwala ako sa ganun. Ayoko nung straightforward ka agad. Yes, you can be straightforward because you have data. No, but in being able to communicate things, importante yung makuha mo muna yung loob ng tao. So, yeah, I think if there's one thing that I also learned in the past, it's that na critical talaga yon. It's very, very essential. Hindi mo siya pwedeng itsapwera lang. Again, there are so many schools of thought regarding, hey, you should be like this, you should be like that. But at the end of the day, it's human relations. So, yun lang yung ano ko.
So, anyway, Ken, okay, so
Mm.
kasi this is a complex job. So,
It is, it is.
you have to have a lot of skills. Okay, so your communication skills, we're not talking about whether you have good grammar or not. Okay, it's about having well, first it's if you can get you know how to use persuasive tactics. Okay, like what
Inception nga sasabihin
uh,
ko kanina eh.
uh, uh,
Inception eh.
so what Ken has been teaching also, diba, you have to also read your audience, okay, or
Very
your
important. Yep.
and then also you cannot also do these things if you have not established your credibility within the organization.
Mm.
So a lot of factors involved. So yun lang ang masasabi namin because each experience naman in a company is unique.
Oo. Nakaka-elibs no. Wala kasi ako sa HR so nakikinig lang ako sa usapan. Di ba? Ang lawak eh. I mean, as an HR leader, you get to like handle different types of situation. Parang hindi pwedeng isa lang yung focus mo, no? Very important na very wide. Pero looking at our chat right now, our comment section, grabe. We have lots of opinions here. Hindi ko alam kung ano una ko babasahin. Pero, yeah, teka lang, we'll check.
Tanongin natin si Doc. Total
So,
naman, I think it's the right. So, Doc, ang daming mga pinag-uusapan, ang daming mga opinions in the forums. Okay? Pero
mm.
ano nga ba ang kailangan i-prioritize ng mga HR ngayon? ER, training, recruitment, ano nga ba yung uunahin nila?
Actually, sa tingin ko, dahil dito sa pandemya, yung mga tao talagang affected. and the closest of them all is ER, employee relations, of which you have, alam mo naman sa ER, dalawa yan, no? When you are the strict one, when you talk about discipline, and then the other one, the compassion. So I guess it is the ER side lean towards compassion, to understand the people, to listen to the people, to understand what they're doing, to show empathy, and if possible, come up with actions to help them alleviate dito sa mga pinagdadaanan nila. So many people lost jobs. So many people lost jobs. It's just a matter of giving them the pink slip. Tapos. But I think you should be morally obligated to somehow do something about it. And which brings me to the another idea. Alam mo, Tina, when you talk about HR, wala tayong katapusan dito sa
Mm-mm.
kadadakdak. There must be HR a continuity plan. No?
Mm-mm.
So, kailangan meron din yang HR dyan. So, if you have a business continuity plan, a subset of that is your HR continuity plan. So, ito mga nadidiscourage. May mga risks when you talk about your risk management, may mga risks din ng HR. Gaya nito, to pandemic na to. No? But who knows? And God forbid, meron na namang ibang pandemic. I hope wala na, no? But who knows, there will be another one or even worse than what we have been through. The question is, how ready are we in HR? What systems do we have in place? That's why we have to talk about HR continuity thing. And supposedly part of that HR continuity thing, ibabalik na naman ako dun sa una ko sinabi, importante na, yun na nga, kasi discourage yung mga tao, you show compassion, no? You talk to them. Yung mga check-in na yan, importante yan,
Mm-mm.
no? Because not everyone is cut out for work from home scenario. Some people get lonelier every time they work in their own places. And by the way, some houses are not safe to work. Like we have plenty of battered wives, and you know, uh, some family situations are just so much giving distraction on the one working because dysfunctional halimbawa yung household. So marami we always sometimes we have a sweeping statement that when you work from home everything is okay, but what if the home is like hell? What if
Mm.
it is like hell? Are you with
That's
me?
correct. Yeah, that's
So
correct.
kaya importante yung no, yung idea natin na one for all for one, which is one way to look at HR. Probably we have to veer it away and look at the individual. So rather than pangkalahatan, it should be viewed as something more specific to the person.
I know of one company, what they do is actually parang they have like parang mini meetings, small meetings lang, okay? Then they get to ask nga people, how are you? Parang ano lang, just to chit chat, okay, are you okay? Okay, what's happening? And then yun nga, Doc, not all homes are physically cut out for work from home work. Kasi, di ba, maliit lang yung spaces. And minsan, yung internet connection, ano pa, weak pa, yung doon sa lugar na yun. So, we have to resurvey everything, I think, okay? And then, just to move forward, whether to continue with your work from home arrangements. So, I think that's one way to look at it, okay, at this time. So anyway, Ken, okay, so it's time to announce. Okay, so I actually lost my phone died. So can
Tracker.
you look at the first three commenters? Okay, and they will get a free book.
Wow, syempre.
Okay.
Si Lee Manalaysay, si Jackie Ness, tsaka si
Mm,
Sir June Espacio.
okay. So
They're the first three.
they were the first three commenters.
Oo.
Okay, of our FB Live. Okay.
Mm.
Ako magaling yan si June. Magaling yan
Mm.
sa history. The history of Papua New Guinea. Si Lee, magaling yan sa business. Oo. Mga magagaling yan. Kaibigan ko yung mga yan.
So we're glad to know that we're in the company of friends, okay? And anyway, so are there more questions or mga comments na lang?
Yeah, daming comments actually after the session also. You guys can actually read through it and actually give comments to it. This is a very interesting discussion. And mga last comments natin, Eman Busa is actually has said it's all about soft skills. Hard skills are trainable, but showing genuine compassion, it's hard. Employees will feel if their HR is genuine or not. Are they going to be or are they going to be honest or not? No. So yun. Yes, to be more relatable and effective, yun sabi niya. Yeah.
Okay,
Mm.
so yun nga. So it's like mahirap maging HR kasi you have to have like a set of skills talaga. Okay. And
Mm.
that's all what we can say. But moving forward, Doc, okay, so you said that ER. Okay, so we clarify yung ER, hindi lang yan puro memos and discipline. Okay, it's
Hmm.
about communication to people.
Actually, hindi lang ER din, Tin, no? Kasi isa dyan ay yung building a corporate culture.
Mm-hmm.
Culture is a way of life. When you have remote workers, and then nung una wala ka namang remote workers, konti lang, baka yung sales force mo lang nag-remote-remote. Ngayon, 90% na ng workforce mo ay nasa remote. And then, mayroon ka pang in some other days nagre-report sa office, so mix, may remote, some days remote, some days nasa office, yung building the corporate culture of which communication is vital. Napaka-importante ng communication na yan. Kasi without you knowing it, you will end up having several subgroups,
Mm-hmm.
and there will be subcultures that will be created along the way. The subcultures of the people who are purely working at home, the subculture of people who are working in the office, MWF at saka TTH na sa bahay. Uh, and that is difficult to manage when after all at the end of the day, people should realize that they belong to one company
Mm-hmm.
only. And so yung striking a balance, yung equity, lalo na pagdating sa compensation. Kasi usually, when you talk about work from home, it will be output-based. And in fact, in my reading, karamihan ng mga nagre-reklamo, ayun na wala, ano na, wala, parang wala ng oras to. Tumawag ng alas 2 ng umaga, tumawag ng alas 3 ng umaga. Ano na bang work shift ko dito? In fact, there was an issue about, teka muna, am I at the liberty of off ko itong i-disconnect ko yung sarili ko kasi tapos na yung work shift ko. That is bearing on payroll, that is bearing on compensation and so on and so forth. What can be paid? What should be paid? Ano yung dapat babayaran? To what extent? But you also have to balance it for all you know, yung mga nangyayari sa company na kailangan talaga na, hey, you wake up in the middle of your nightmare because there's a reality going here na may mga nangyayari dito na kailangan yung ano mo. So may mga issues actually. That's why when you craft policies, no? When you craft policies, you have to put it in context that you have people working in different spaces and working in different time zones. And probably this should be incorporated in the brainstorming as to what could be the policy that would be overarching for each and every one because we are trying to build an organizational culture that is homogeneous for each and every one, regardless of your modality of, workspace and work processes.
Yes. So, kasi it's important that the HR reins it in. Kasi nga, tama nga yung sinabi ni Doc. Magkakaroon ng mga subgroups yan. And before you know it, okay, well, that's, yung subgroup na yon yun ang magkaka-union din. Well, which is like an offshoot of just to extend the discussion to unions, okay? Anyway, Doc, well, for our young HRs, okay, those that are in schools, okay. So ito ngayon, how should is it good now to when they choose their company? How should they choose their company?
Madali na ngayon mamili ng company kasi madaling mag-stock. No? So, nung una pupunta ka doon sa interview, hindi mo talaga alam kung ano yung company na yun. Ngayon, madali na. In other words, be a researcher. Mag-research ka muna. Tingnan mo kung ano yung organizational climate, no? Ano yung kultura, ano yung, kasi alam mo, yung mga tao should kung talagang gusto nila yan, yung kumpanya, sila yung ambassador of goodwill. Sila yung magsasabi na maganda tungkol sa company. No? So, the best source of information ay yung naka-experience. Ito yung experience nila sa company na yun. Experience silang naharas, na-experience silang hindi nabayaran, hindi, lahat-lahat na yun, pakinggan mo. Simple ka lang, tumitingin-tingin ka sa mga pinagsasabi ng mga tao. And then you ask yourself, this is something that I can take.
Mhm.
Thirdly, ano ba yung mga fundamental values ko? Kasi may mga bagay naman na pwede mo i-take, no? Pero may mga bagay na hindi mo talaga pwedeng i-compromise. That means it goes back to asking yourself, do I know myself well? Yun yung mga bagay. Kasi yung panahon ko, alam mo, nasa lapit na akong 60. So, yung panahon ko nung una, hindi mo talaga alam, mag-apply ka ng trabaho na ano.
Kailangan
Oo.
mo puntahan lahat kasi wala
Oo.
namang way to really research kung maganda yung
Meron nga akong kaibigan, napuntahan pala niya na parang supplier ng punerarya. Yung kanyang napuntahan na company noong unang panahon yun na hindi niya alam na takot sa patay yun. Sabi, he went to the wrong place. So, ngayon, wala na, you must be damn stupid not to know what's going on in that particular company. You would be able to access information.
Yes. Yung nga Ngayon, there are ways to research about the company. Okay. And actually, that's why it's, well, for small business owners, it's actually a competition with bigger companies. Kasi how do you attract talent? So if you were a small business, Doc, what should they do to attract the talents?
That's a good one. What's your value proposition? That's it. I think this is something that is interesting. Just one of my articles in one of my papers. It's important that you do some soul searching. What's good in us that others don't have? Niching.
Mm.
Niching. Niching. For example, ito yun ha. Ito talagang glaring example. You work in a large company. You'd be like a big fish but in a very big ocean.
Mm.
You hardly is recognized. Kasi ang dami-dami eh. But, pag ikaw yung tao na talagang yung recognition, napaka-importante sa iyo yun. If you do good in one small company, everybody would see it instant. And it is an opportunity for you really to shine. Now, if you are the kind of person who wants to have job satisfaction because of accomplishment, go for small organizations. When you start from scratch
Mm.
and later on, after staying there for 15 years, you would be able to say to yourself, look, guys, these are the things that I have done in my 15 years of experience in your company. Now give me triple, quadruple, quintuple my pay. Because these are the things that I have done significantly. I started it from scratch. But some people have different needs when they work.
Mm.
Some money, some hindi ganun eh.
Mm.
Kasi I have experience working in small company. My God, Tina, I was not, kaya ako tumaba sa kakain ng kakain. Alas 2 ng umaga pa pala. I was still working. Because I like what I am doing. And, it was the exact opposite of the company where I came from before. Na napakalaki namin, super duper laki, na napaka mga project, mga project. And then I felt, you know what, kahit ako lang gagawa dito, kaya ko namang gawin to. But there's still a project. There are people who are here. With or without me, yan ang conclusion ko, with or without me, this can be consummated.
Mm.
Pero ito isa, kaya depende yan sa needs sa mga tao. So you have to really, kaya yung selection, napaka-importante yun. Habol mo ang pera, baka hindi ito yung para sa'yo.
Mm.
Pero kung habol mo ay, self-actualization, kasi marami kang na-accomplish, etc., maybe this is for you.
Yeah, so yeah, you have to kasi we have to always tell them the value of really having direction, and then also reflect on what they really want to do, especially kung ano yung nakakapag-satisfy sa kanila. Okay, so yun, what makes them happy, okay, at that time. So,
Look, I'll talk about myself. When my mother was still alive before, she passed already a few years ago. not few years, mga 5 years na. Bakit daw ako umalis at lumipat sa UP? Kasi nangutang ako. Pautang. Ba't ka pa, ganun yung ano, ganun yung ano doon. Ba't ka pa, of course, I'm talking about, ano na, mga so many decades na. Ba't ka pa kasi umalis? Ang laki na yun na nasweldo mo doon, eh, mangungutang ka sa akin. Sabi ko, what are mothers for? Diba? Nagpatutangan. Hindi ka naman nagbabayad. Nangyari nga. Namatay na lang siya, hindi ko pa rin siya nabayaran. Tama yung sinabi, tama yung sinabi ko sa kanya. But you know what? I was not happy there. Hindi ko ma-explain sa kanya because she did not experience what I experienced. Hindi niya na-underestimate niya yung context ng UP. Of which, masaya ako. Masayang-masaya ako sa pag-uusap namin ng mga estudyante ko. Masayang-masaya ako pag nag-conceptualize kami ng thesis ng mga estudyante ko. Masayang-masaya ako if you have freedom. I'm a freedom-loving person. And part of the academic freedom is you teach what you want to teach to people you want to teach with, etc., etc. And these are all fulfilled. My mother, incidentally, didn't know about that because she was looking a job from a compensation perspective. Yes, wala masyadong pera, okay. But there are things that are probably more important to me, like the freedom. Dito sa UP, we're free to express ourselves. We're free to disagree with anyone. That you cannot have in the corporate world. In fact, when I was in the corporate world before, kahit napaka-stupid ng sinabi ng amo ko, I have to clap because I have to show, I have to show oneness. But I was just telling to myself, I was fake. That's not me. But here, if I don't like it, okay. You can see it my countenance. And I just realized that I am a person who loves that. So for those people, for my mother, incidentally, I could not explain it to her because mangutang ako, no? So, hindi ko ma-explain sa kanya na ganun yung pinagdadaanan ko. So, know yourself. What is it that would make you happy? Kasi, ang tagal ko na sa UP. Masaya ako sa UP. Masaya ako sa UP. If you take UP from me, I think I would be very sad. I would be very sad. Kasi masaya ako sa aking employer. Marami siyang, it's not perfect. Of course, wala namang perfect na organization. Even sa heaven, kaya nga si Lucifer galing sa heaven, no? Even in heaven, wala namang perfect, no? Pero dito parang, if I try to compare it with my previous employers, I have the best. I have the best.
So I think that's a point to ponder. Okay, for young people. Okay, so do it holistically, and if it's really compensation, why not? Diba? Hindi naman masama po yun. So Doc, okay, we are about to end our interview.
Oh, patapos
But
na ba?
oo,
I thought we just started.
so actually ganito dito, lumilipad ang time. Pero I'll ask you, okay, for not only for the benefit of our viewers, okay, but I know that just to provide some inspiration or guidance, how do you deal with stress? Okay, kasi it must be stressful to.
Alam mo, in 2011, I had a near-death situation. I was practically back and forth in the hospital. And it has proven to me that we have the best doctors we have are in the PGH. Because yung mga malalaking hospital pinuntahan ko na, wala nangyayari. Pero nang binigyan ako ng, kasi syempre faculty din ako, binigyan pa ako ng free. Oh my goodness. Sabi ko, ang layo-layo ng tingin ko, nandito lang pala sa paligid ko. That was the turning point that I become a born-again Christian. No, I was a born-again Christian before, but it was parang parang on and off, on and off, on and off. But since 2011, it was a turning point. And I have seen a lot of changes in myself. And one of them is who is not stressed. No? Lahat naman tayo na-stress. I pray a lot. I communicate with my divine creator a lot. I also substantiate it with meditation. I meditate 2 times a day. Once in the morning and once in the evening prior to sleeping. So I guess that's it. And then I listen to inspirational songs. I listen to inspirational songs, and I would you like to believe the messages there are so nice. No, it would uplift the spirit if you just listen what has been said. And I like also music that are oldies and goodies. So yung mga inspirational songs na makaluma,
Mhm.
gustong gusto ko yun. And by the way, one thing, I sleep a lot. Natutulog ako. Natutulog ako. Hindi ako nagpupuyat. Pag tatawagan mo ako na tulog ako, sabihin ko sa iyo, tumawag ko mamaya, tulog pa ako. Sometimes some people will, how were you able to answer the phone?
Mhm.
Kaya sabi ko, nga, i-off ko na ngayon eh. I sleep a lot. I think that's part of really distressing oneself. And then another one is I laugh a lot. So tawa na tawa lang, tawa ng tawa. Hindi naman ako nag-yoga laughter, pero I laugh. I laugh at myself. Tinatawanan ko yung sarili ko. Ano na namang gaya nito? Sabi ko nga, kahapon, ito na. Go na, nasa na ba to si Tina? Bakit wala dito yung Zoom link? Yung pala, bukas pa, ngayon pa. So I laugh at myself. Itong, ang tanda-tanda ko na. And then by the way, nanonood ako ng Netflix.
Uh,
Pinipili ko yung mga nakakatawa. Pinipili ko yung mga nakakatawa. So lahat na, tanungin mo ako, lahat na nakakatawa, I will narrate it to you. But para hindi naman ma-spoil, panoorin nyo. In other words, I choose what I see. I choose what I want to put in my mind. Kasi nag-umpisa yan dito eh. Itong ating mga mata, no? Pag hindi ka selective, talaga kung saan ka pwede mapunta. At kung ano nakita mo, ipoprocess yan ng utak. And then later on, something like that. Kaya alam mo, sa TV, pag may mga personalities akong hindi gusto, pinapatay ko na kaagad yung TV. Kasi para to avoid my blood pressure getting mercurial, no? So pinapatay ko na yung TV kasi sabi ko mag-spoil lang ito sa ano ko. Kaya kung ano yung makikita ko, papasok ko doon. I interact with people that I love interacting with. I have a Bible group now. I love my peers. I interact with them. And then they are just so jolly. Napaka-jolly. Napaka-masayahin nila. And sometimes I ask, why are you jolly? I want to be jolly also. You jolly, joy kasi is more enduring than happiness. Happiness is more temporal. Joy is longitudinal. No? So they are joyful bunch of creatures. I want to be like you. And of course, I have my pets. Sleeping with me are my two pets. No, every time I wake up, my dogs. No, every time I wake up in the morning, the room is in total disarray. In total disarray. I guess that's how I cope with stress.
mhm. Well, the reason
I
I asked because you seem kasi during our classes, okay, tumatawa tayo, kumakain pa nga tayo all the time. Tumatawa lang tayo. And I actually didn't.
actually I have a different reputation in class.
Mhm.
Tingin nila sa akin terror. Pero hindi naman. I just want them to learn. Kaya para sa akin, okay, we can be friends, but pagdating sa requirements,
Mhm.
follow, observe it.
No, it was organized, but I didn't feel that it was I didn't feel that it was like a class. Okay, it was like the interaction was there. Okay, so we learned through the interaction. Okay, and then the method was it's not really like ABC, but you have to read and then you have to analyze it. So that's what I remember with our classes. That was like I think that was 2009. So that
That
was
was a long time ago. That's post Yolanda.
yes, it was.
Undoy.
Undoy,
Post
Undoy.
Undoy. Post
Oo,
Undoy, yes.
yes. Kasi I remember that I took my compre after Undoy.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. So there.
It's
So
nice that you have this program, no? Kasi alternative way of learning ito. Tsaka libre pa. Di ka naniningil, no? Di ka naniningil. Yung iba ay naniningil ng mahal-mahal. Oo. Oo.
well, actually, we actually decided to have this conversational style kasi nga when you think of HR kasi especially with our ER, okay, people have a tendency to really parang go to the dark side, sinasabi ni George, okay? Kasi we talk about suspension, discipline, but it's good that you emphasize that there should be an organizational culture, okay? And then leadership is also important.
And one thing important siguro, Tin, is that HR, kasi sila naman talaga nakakalam kung anong trabaho niya, puro duro na kanya trabaho. Kailangan ipaalam niya sa mga tao na alam mo, pag ako nagdi-discipline, trabaho ko kasi yun.
Oo.
Trabaho ko yun. So please understand where I'm coming from. Just in like manner, yung accountant nyo ay talagang tanong ng tanong kung ano yung mga pinagre-reimburse mo. Kasi trabaho niya yun, something like that. In the same manner, yung security, panay freeze na freeze sa'yo, pagpapasok, baka may dala kang bomba kasi trabaho niya yun. I think that is one thing that many HR people forget to share to the people in their company kung ano yung role nila para later on ito pwede akong mag MC ng Christmas party good pero pwede din naman ako mag-terminate kasi part yan ng aking trabaho. Importante yung nagdoon yung leveling.
Yes. So, and kasi yung kadalasan kasi yung HR, well, ano naman yan, 50-50 eh. Pero may HR kasi na natatakot, okay, sa tao, kumausap sa tao. So, dapat, kasi, it's very important. Communication is actually a very important, aspect of our work. So, agree ako doon. Anyhow, okay, so, sir, okay, what should we look forward from you, okay, in the coming weeks?
Oh, I have a on March 17, I will have a webinar. It's about employee compensation and benefits. So I'll be sharing with you the three P's in compensation: pay for person, pay for performance, pay for competence. And we will be talking about how to design, communicate, and implement and evaluate non-statutory benefits. It will be on March 17 with Power Max. I have been regularly providing them with programs, and it's our relationship has gone so far, no? Parang mga more than a decade na. And then also we have a certificate course in human resource management and industrial relations at UP Soler. It's going to be a 12 Saturday thing, but we have to pivot into a sort of a webinar. So I guess it will be more staggered dahil dito sa modality ng learning atmosphere. It's a very, very, very good course. No, a lot of our students, in fact, were alumni of that. Our graduate students were alumni of that. They proceed to a graduate program. So these are the two things that I have right now. These are the two things. I don't have the definite schedule yet about the certificate course in HRIRs. Sir June Aspacio was with us in the certificate course in HRIR. In fact, we've been friends prior to that, but our relationship, our friendship became naging strengthened when he enrolled in that class. 12 Saturdays ba naman? 12 Saturdays kayo magkikita. Oo.
Okay, so we will look forward to those courses. And anyway, I will get the information from you, Doc, and then we will post it in HR Shouts. Anyway, I'll go to Ken. Ken, anything new from you?
Same. So to people, to our friends that are interested in becoming certified NLP practitioners, yeah, March 2, we're gonna start the 16 day international certification program for Neuro-Linguistic Programming. So yeah, if you're interested then to learn more about like NLP, hypnosis, yeah, just message me up. You know.
Okay, good. Okay, so actually, both, okay, Ken's courses, okay, and then Doc's courses. Actually, I attended those, okay, so I
Parang
also
gusto ko
attend.
yung hypnosis na yan. Oo, no? Parang, actually, I heard of before. No?
uh,
Hypnosis.
It,
Di ba
it's
nakakatakot?
good.
Di ba nakakatakot yan? Baka kung saan sa kalubulutan.
Hindi naman.
Ay, hindi
Yung
naman.
sa TV kasi yung mga mabibilis pag kinakausap mo biglang sleep. May mga ganun, di ba? Yung application na ginagawa ko, I get to use that same mind technology to help people as a hypnotherapist.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
for anxiety, depression, trauma,
Correct, correct.
fears. Pero at the same time, understanding this technology then, mixing a concept called NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Programming, yung language patterns, how you say it, yung mga specific words, the way you ask questions, you get more results eh. You could parang kunwaga, if you want to put a person into a certain state of mind, for example, malungkot siya,
Mm.
'di ba? Parang pwede mong dalhin yung tao sa isang state of mind na
Parang gusto
masaya
ko
siya.
to si Ken. Kakausapin ko to later. Kaya ba parang naintriga lang ako? Ano ba yung mga lumulutang-lutang dyan sa likod mo?
Magic, wala ano yan, frame
Kasama
yan
yan sa
para at least
hypnotism.
ano to, tatawag ko dito mga frames. So parang when I communicate to people, lalo na ngayon when we communicate through online, through Zoom, like you
Mhm.
have your background,
Mm.
'di ba, installed. That tells a lot about your personality. So with mine, I'm making sure, kunwari, I'm in a room like with 100 people in it. Ang mangyayari, they could easily notice my screen. Why? Because it's moving. Pero at the same time, I'm also installing a frame which is relaxing, kaya smoke yan. Pero sometimes when I'm have clients like I'm teaching like dark stuff like manipulation, inception, and everything, other stuff, I get to change my background then. So parang ganyan yung background ko, di ba?
Ah,
Apoy naman.
oh my gosh,
Di ba?
na si Lucifer. Oo, sige.
Di ba?
Makatakot yan. Ayoko niyan. Gusto ko yung
Kaya ano
kanina.
naman,
Yan.
so you get to change the background depending sa mood. So when it adds to the communication, di
Okay,
ba?
I'll do that
So
tomorrow in my webinar. I'll do that. No, I'll change the background. What
it
could be
could
the
help.
best background?
Well, you have a very good background right now. It amplifies your quote. Kitang-kita ka kasi white yung background mo eh. Mm. So, again, if you're wearing dark, yung likod mo is light. If you're wearing light color, yung likod mo is dark. Para malinaw yung labas mo. Like kay Christina, yung color ng background niya is white. Pero the colors that she uses right now with her shirt is different. So, lulutang siya dun sa background.
Hala, pag magturo ka ng NLP, yung hypnotism, ha? You keep me in mind. So I'll participate.
Sige, sige, Doc. Sure, for sure. Message lang.
Okay. So anyhow, okay, thanks, Doc. Okay, and then George, we'll see where George is. Okay, usually
Ano,
he's
disconnect lang yata internet,
uh,
yeah? Mm.
but anyhow, okay, so well, sir, we're very honored that you said yes to our
Oh, my pleasure
interview.
too. My pleasure. It's nice to reconnect with you guys, Ken and Mr. George as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
Actually, George, si George actually, ano yan, sa film yan, okay, kasi he's like a batch higher than me. Ganun niya
Grabe.
pinulong ko eh.
A batch higher. Okay, sure.
So anyhow, okay, so anyway, for this for our next FB live, okay,
Mhm.
so I was very careful not to touch on compensation because our next topic will be compensation with Mr. Ronaldo Turla. So how to
Okay.
do compensation and compensation planning right. Okay, so that will be on February 27 at 6:30 p.m.
Uy, sige. Kita-kits ulit.
Yes.
So, yun.
And
Chris.
yes, so for everyone, so just keep your comments coming in,
Mm-hmm.
okay? And then we remember you, okay? So we have Miss Lee, okay, Jackie, and then Sir June, okay?
Oh,
Just get in touch with me. I will be sending you the book from Mister uh, Doctor Verhelbing High, okay? Kasi ano yan, very big thing. He actually gave us the books already.
wow. Yay.
Yay!
Okay.
So, so, sir, okay, thank you. And
Yeah.
then
Thank you
let's
too.
call it a night, okay?
Let's
And
call it a night.
okay. So, bye, viewers,
God
okay?
bless. God bless.
Bye.
God bless. God
Bye.
bless. Bye
God
bye. Bye
bless.
bye. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.